So just bear with me. I'm sorry. Is it recording? I'm so tired. I have a newborn baby.
I can't imagine what you're doing with the baby and then
my husband's sitting outside because his day's off. His
so
day
he's
off.
sitting outside with the baby?
He's outside in the car sitting with the baby.
I did that a number of times myself. That's awesome. And then fast forward, my son is now 12, and I'm like, where did it go? It just happens so fast.
I mean, is it like this the first, how long?
Well, until the baby starts, sleeping through, I don't know if your baby sleeps through the night or even wakes up how many times. I remember there was a point where my son started sleeping through the night, and at first we were nervous because we were like, well, he didn't wake up. Yes.
Can I show you my book right there? At least it has finished. I didn't finish it though.
What book?
The old book.
You can show it to me. I'm not going to put the grades in yet. You can show it to me later.
Because you gave me a 0.
Huh?
You gave me a 0, that's why.
Today?
Yeah.
Show it to me later.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I just remember once he started sleeping through the night, things just got a lot better. And I was in school too, so it was like, it was nice. And then he started taking like 3 and 4 hour naps during the day and sleeping through the night. Now he doesn't wake up in the morning. That's the only problem.
Now he doesn't want to. Right?
Yeah, now he's in middle school. He doesn't want to wake up. So it was good while it lasted.
It will always have some kind of troubles.
Yeah, there's always some consequence behind it. I don't know what it is, but yeah, it's always a consequence.
Okay, so here's just the agenda for today.
Okay.
And I got your flexile scores, and I will show you. This is for, you printed this out in January, and this is the one you just printed out for us.
Right.
And before okay. So from what I found out, I'm not too sure. The typical 7th grade reader flexile score is between 735 and 1065, more or less.
It's supposed to be, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure on that. Okay, so here I have Alejandro's scores with the intervention. So we started working with him in January. So 19, 34, 21, 19, and then after the break 35, 18, 22, 17, and 17. Those have been his ORF, his oral reading fluency probes. And as you can tell, he grew from...
Well, here he was down here at the bottom. Alejandro.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was 507, and then he's up now. He's to 620, so he's grown.
Yeah, that's a great increase.
So he's grown. One of the things is that I've seen he's less engaged when he's completing his oral read and see probes. So that's why, I don't know if that's why he's been dropping. He just seems less engaged. I'm not sure if you've seen that with him from coming, like when he came back. Because I know he was gone for a while, and then he came back.
Gone for a while, and I think a lot of it has to do with who he sits next to.
Okay.
And that's usually Albert.
Okay.
He sits next to Albert, I think. And Albert is a very, he's very distracting, but he does it in a fun way.
Yeah.
Because he does it to me too.
Yeah.
and I think that has a lot to do with it, especially for Alejandro, because I seated them next to each other purposely because Alberto is autistic.
Yes.
As far as what level of autism he has, I'm not exactly sure. But he's autistic, and so I needed someone to sit with him, a partner that was very understanding.
Okay.
And someone that was very accepting and very nice. And that's why I chose Alejandro, because he has all those character traits. He's a very nice boy.
Yeah.
He's very sweet. He's very understanding. He's very willing to help.
Yes.
And I needed someone that wasn't going to be judgmental.
Okay.
And he's not judgmental. That's why even if Alejandro tends to lose focus a little bit, he also tends to help me corral Alberto a little bit.
Okay.
So it's almost like, it looks like he's still doing well, and he probably is off task a little bit, but I think there's a definite reasoning as far as the way our classroom is set up. It's for that, because if I put another student with Alberto, it might just go bad.
Okay. Okay, and I mean, he's gone up 113 points.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great increase.
One of the strategies that I find, and I'm sure you're doing your own strategies, is having them underline any difficult words, and I'm glad that I have this information on Albert, because I was going to ask you, like, maybe he can underline his more difficult words and
Sure.
ask Albert, because Albert is pretty proficient in his reading, and I mean, you know, we're both aware of that. I mean, he scores really high.
Yeah.
So maybe that's something that.
Yeah, that's a great idea. To have them underline. One of the strategies that we use is while I'm reading to them, oftentimes I'll read a passage and then I will like skip a word. And when I skip that word or take a pause, they know to say the word. And that shows me two things. It shows me, one, if they're actually paying attention, you know, and following along in the book. And two, it gives them that practice to say a word that they see and they might not understand, or it might be a little difficult. A lot of our kids have the tendency to, when they see a word that they don't understand, a lot of them have a tendency to skip the whole sentence, because they feel like, oh, I don't know that word, I'm not going to know the rest of the thing. So they skip the whole sentence, and I'm trying to get them to say, no, we don't skip. We try to figure it out, even if it's difficult. And even after you read it, you don't understand it, that's okay. But we shouldn't be skipping. You know, we shouldn't be skipping whole sentences. So that's one of the strategies I've been trying to work with them when they understand. But underlining would be a great strategy, to underline or highlight and then say it.
Yeah,
you know, so
and then since you're using that, I can definitely, because I know with Sarah, our whole group intervention, I know we have them we kind of read aloud at the same time, but because the time is so constrained, like, you know, it's like we could only do so much. I mean, just with the Read 180, there's a lot of things going on. I mean, it's working out.
It's working out. I mean, I know the time constraints are really, really tough to kind of get used to. You know, I've had to really get used to it.
Yeah.
You know, and know when, okay, even if the timer goes off, I need a little more time with you.
Yeah.
There's those times where you have to say whatever about the timer.
Yeah.
We need to really focus on this again. So it is a juggling act, but you know, once you get it down, and I don't mind if you guys take, you know, one, or like if you wanted to take one or two students just to the side, or take them outside, so that they weren't like feeling like they have to talk over me. I'm not going to have a loud voice, or even any of the other students that are reading or whatever they're doing. That's always something that you can do, is, you know, just take them outside.
Okay, so we're glad that Alejandro's doing well. He's doing, you know, he's growing, and so we would like to continue with him.
Cool.
For today, I'm just gonna go over, I know Sarah went over the whole student. I'm just gonna kind of go over the students that I'm particularly working with, which are Alejandro, Pedro, Jordi, and Albert.
Perfect.
I saw, but before I go on, I just saw that Nydia was nominated for Student of the Month.
Yeah, she has.
And I'm really so happy because she's great. I mean, I wrote some notes, like she's much more confident. She's always wanted to participate. I know that sometimes I know now she's the only girl, so she has to kind of be a little more aggressive, and she's really competing.
She does fine. I mean, honestly, even with all those boys there, she probably is the group leader. Yeah. Like she probably, because she's that outspoken and she's that confident and always willing to help, and you know, she has all those really good qualities that you know, sometimes you don't see in middle school students. Yeah. You know, and she's, for her age, you know, she's still a middle school girl, and she can still be immature at times, but for her age, she's very mature. Yeah. Especially in the way she approaches, you know, the intervention. She's never angry that she has this class or anything like that.
No, she's a great student to work with. Okay. And then now Albert, as you can see, I mean, he's always scored much higher than a lot of the students. You know, the 30s, high 20. Last week, he didn't do as well. He was just not having his day. And so, like with him, my approach with him, it just depends on his mood. And he does not like the probes. I've noticed that. So I'm trying to talk to Sarah to figure out, I mean, because we have to implement those probes. I was just wondering if it's okay with you, if we can kind of work a system where we can get him to do the probes where, I mean, you work very well with him, and so I wanted to ask you some of the strategies or something that you can tell me that will work. Because, you know, it's just, I mean, I know with Albert it just depends, and, you know, it's like we try to tell him, like, if you do this now, like, then you can do that. Yeah. But sometimes he's not really.
Yeah, it's definitely a patience thing. You know, I think I banged my head on the wall for a while trying to figure out what to do with Albert, and you know, one of the things that I've come up with, like you said, is giving him that little bit of reward. Look, you can read Calvin and Hobbes for 5 minutes or whatever it is, because that's what he loves. I also considered trying to find a way to incorporate that. We have books, especially with our read winning, we have books that are very much like comic books, and there's pictures and there's things that are a little more visually appealing. So with Albert, I think it's just a matter of finding what is going to interest him. When you give him a page and it's just all text, he kind of is just like, this is boring. I don't want, there's nothing fun about this. And most students come to a realization that sometimes you're going to have things that aren't fun. Albert still, I think he doesn't realize yet, sometimes we got to do things that we don't necessarily enjoy.
Yeah.
So I've been really, kind of struggling to see what can I do for him to get him at least somewhat involved, because he hates the computers. He hates working on the computers. Rarely will he find a book that he likes. Like, he likes those Captain Underpants books, the kind of goofy type of books like that. But I think it's just a matter of finding something that he would enjoy. I don't know if when you do the probes, if there's some visual something, if it could be done with a comic strip, if it could be done, you could still do the probe maybe with where you got to circle the word that best fits the sentence.
Just maybe adding
I don't know if there's something we could do with a comic strip or something, and maybe find a comic strip where there's words that we can take out and give the 3 options, or something like that. We might have to consider a different probe or a different assessment for him and his ability, because honestly, I don't even know why he's in this class. He should probably be in more of a special ed setting, but I think he's, a lot of autism is based around their social skills.
Yeah.
And his social skills are not, does he know how to act appropriately? Not all the time. But he's not afraid of being social with other, he can relate to some students that are willing to relate to him. He relates fine with them. So it's one of those things where sometimes I'm not even sure if this is the best environment for him, but until they decide to really test him or put him somewhere else or whatever, I'm more than happy to have him in class. It's just a matter of us finding what we can do to help him.
Okay.
And if that's, I don't know if that's anything that you think would work, is maybe doing probes in a different, just making them look different. I'm not even saying they have to be different. It's for him, it's all visual. And if they just looked different, I don't even know if you put like a flower border around it or like a little cartoon. Maybe the text doesn't even have to be in a comic book. If you just had pictures and maybe a little, sometimes there's just a little chicken or a cow that when he wants to doodle, he can just color it in. But then okay, now we focus. I don't know if how that affects the outcome of the probe. Okay. If that means we have to give more time, but does that affect the probe and the outcomes because we've given him more time? That's what I'm saying. He's a special case where I don't know if he necessarily fits in this box that we want all of our other kids to fit in. I don't think he fits in there, so I think he's a very special case.
Okay, so then I'll definitely talk to Sarah regarding that. I'm not too sure if it seems like it might.
It might, like I said, I'm just guessing too.
No,
so I don't know.
So we'll continue. I mean, I'll continue to work with him, and just kind of structure something where it's like, if you do this, then you can kind of do what you do. Then you can read Calvin and Hobbes for 5 minutes. Yeah, something. And just kind of, because he's quick. He understands, but just kind of. Because we really like him. He's funny, and he's just very, he's a nice kid.
He's a goofy kid.
He's a nice kid,
funny,
and like you said, he is not as socially awkward as as the kids that I've seen that have like autism, but he's
he's our special guy.
Okay, And then I have the next student that I'm working with is Pedro. So I just wanted to ask you, for Pedro's Lexile score, I don't understand what BR 70 or BR 850 what does that mean?
BR basically means beginning reader.
Okay.
And even if you have a number after the beginning reader, it basically still means you're at the lowest level that they actually measure.
Okay.
So you could see that Kenya, when she was a BR0, and she didn't improve at all, which basically means, you know, they have very little understanding of what they're reading.
Okay.
And a lot of that, I think, goes back to their the inability to figure out the meaning of words in context. And that's where a lot of that stems from. If you read something out loud to Kenya, she understands. Okay. When you ask her to read something, that's when she has a hard time. Okay. So that's what the BR, and the same thing with Pedro, is he has a difficult time deciphering what a passage means, what's the main idea. Okay. He can read words, like if you ask him to read, he'll struggle with words, but after he's done, he can't really tell you what he read unless you kind of give him these little, you know, hints, or, you know, yeah, something like that, where he goes, and he thinks about it and goes, okay, yeah, and he knows. But when you just say, read this, and they give me a summary.
No. Yeah, that's, I mean, I know for the probes, I mean, he got a 29, but with this one, Sarah was saying, because she actually gave this probe, she said that he was looking at someone else's paper. So that's, you know, because I mean, yeah, and he does struggle. When I'm working with the small group, we're in the corner. I'm like usually kind of always, you know, asking him questions and asking him, okay, so let's look at the text. But maybe what I can do is kind of read it out loud to them, reread it out loud.
That would help.
I know Sarah does it with the big group instruction, the larger group instruction, but I can also maybe do that and reread some of the paragraphs, so that maybe he can get some understanding.
That would help Pedro for sure. And and his thing is just it's just the way he processes things, and it could be a language barrier too there, but I just look at him sometimes and he just looks like he's lost, and it seems like there's something cognitive that's not, you know, it's not allowing him to process the information and really get an understanding of what's happening. So yeah, he takes a lot of work too, just trying to get him out of that beginning reader stage. But you know, and honestly, when they're that low, they should probably be in the different scholastic system. There's Read 180 and there's System 44. Yeah. Pedro should probably, in reality, be in System 44.
Do you happen to have access to System 44 or not really?
Not right now, because it would be a whole new...
It's within different classrooms.
Yeah, it would be a different classroom. There's a whole new set of books. It's a whole new workbooks. Everything is different. So, I don't have any access to that, but it would be him going to another class, which, you know, if he's here and he's going down, it seems like Read 180 is not helping him.
Yeah, so this is,
And here, he only went up 11, but still stayed within the beginning reader, and then he went down here. So, I mean, when we're talking 10 to 15 points, as far as Lexiles go, you're basically the same. Okay. You haven't really moved too much, so. Yeah, Pedro's another one that could use as much help as possible.
And what I'll do with him is I'll have him kind of write or think about questions when we're reading out loud.
That'd be a great idea, actually.
So that way, you know, if he doesn't understand something or if we need to reread a paragraph, if that's something that the time allows us to do, then I'll definitely do it with him.
Yeah, that'd be great. And that's a good thing to have him write down some questions, you know, that he has. Sometimes kids have a hard time when you put them on the spot and say, you know, what question do you have? A lot of times they're like, I don't have any question. They're so used to wanting to please the teacher by copying, here's the right answer, instead of saying, look, no, I really want to know what you know. It's okay if you get them wrong, and they haven't really understood, like, in their mind it's like, I need to get them all right. I need to please the teacher. I need to get the A. I need to get, you know, full credit. It's all about points and credit and grades, and it takes away from what we're really trying to do. And when you're trying to get a true assessment, it hurts them when you feel like they have to copy.
Yeah, because I've seen a lot of, with Pedro, sometimes Alejandro, like because they don't really understand what they just read. They just kind of copy.
Julio does that a lot too.
Okay, Julio.
Julio does that constantly because he's another one that's really low and has a hard time. Is he one of the ones that?
I'm not seeing him, but
He's about there. He's low. He's in the 300s.
And then here, this was Pedrosa.
Yeah, he went up. That's
He
good.
went up.
Yeah,
So.
that's good. But
Yeah,
he does
with him,
that.
and with Julio, it's also motivation. It all depends on how he's feeling. Because even though he's not my student, I did jot down some notes, and that was one of the things that kind of concerned me. It's just like, it just depends on how he feels.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's not feeling it that day, he's just kind of like, okay, no. Yeah. Yeah, and it just in the past 2 weeks, I've seen kind of like he's just not as engaged. Like he's just kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
He used to sit next to Kenya. They used to kind of sort of work together, and I don't know if that kind of helped them. But he just kind of.
They worked together, but then they would always fight. It was like they were brother and sister, and it was either really cool or really bad. And yeah, Julio's another one where today he was just like, I'm checking their work, and I see him like just trying to get it finished. And I'm like, Julio, that doesn't help us learn, and we're not doing anything to better ourselves when we're just doing that. I didn't, maybe I didn't get it when I was that age.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Julio, but I'll continue to kind of just monitor his moods and just kind of give him some praise.
Yeah, a little motivation.
Yeah. The last one is Jordy.
Okay.
Jordy is our mystery student. Was he held back? I noticed that in the Lexile report it says 8th grade. So I was I'm not sure if that's why he doesn't know any students, or he's just embarrassed, or I don't know. That's just kind of something that kind of.
That's interesting because I always thought Jordy was in 7th grade, and so either this is wrong, or he really is in 8th grade, and I didn't realize, because he should not be in that class if he's in 8th grade. I have a whole other class full of 8th graders, so that's interesting. I always thought he was in 7th grade. He is in 7th grade because it would show it on my roster, so that must be a mistake.
Okay.
That must be a mistake because he is in 7th grade.
Okay.
Jordy's hard to gauge because he's so quiet.
Yeah.
He's really hard to gauge. I can never really tell whether he gets it or he doesn't get it. So I have to consistently ask him. It's one of those things that I have to get a verbal assessment with him. Do you get it? Do you understand? Because he's never one to raise his hands. So you have to push him consistently. And he's doing better. He's improving because I've had to sit down with him a couple times and let him know, look, I'm going to be calling on you. I'm going to be asking you things, and I'm going to, And I told him at times it's going to feel like I'm picking on you, but that's because I am.
Yeah.
I'm picking on you because I need you to be a little more vocal. I need you to be a little bit more engaged in what we're doing. So Jordy's a tough one, and his Lexile. When he came in, I was looking at it, I was like, well, his Lexile's not that low.
Yeah.
But I just don't think people understand him. So he might be more on the low side because teachers are assuming he doesn't know because he's just so quiet and But that Lexile is not. When you look at his Lexile compared to the rest of the class,
it's like one of the higher ones.
Yeah, he's one of the higher ones. So.
Okay.
So yeah, he's a tough one to gauge, but if you get him talking, I think he's just shy.
Okay, because one of the things that I might be good is I can see if I can recommend them for Check and Connect, like the mentoring program we're implementing.
Okay.
And maybe have someone just kind of,
And talk to him.
or even just for counseling. Because one of the things that kind of, I don't know, maybe I'm overreacting. I have a background in counseling. So one of the things that we read a passage regarding animals and empathy and how they comfort their young. And Sarah asked the question specifically to Jordy regarding so how does your family comfort you, or how have you been comforted? And he just kind of said, I've never been comforted before. and I know it's probably him just kind of
Yeah.
not trying to, like, completely not trying to have any conversation, or if it's like really he's never been comforted before. So I was like, maybe if we have someone kind of work with him, like one-on-one, even if, I mean, I work with my student, like I see my student once a week for 15-20 minutes, kind of see how she's doing academically, ask her questions. That's pretty much what like the mentoring program is.
That would be cool. I mean, I just for Jordy just to talk to someone else. He might feel a little more engaged if he's like, okay, I get to leave for a little while and just go talk to someone, and you know, I don't have to do it in front of the class. You know, sometimes it's that you don't want to do it in front of the class. I noticed he is a little more willing to speak up if he's in a small group, but if it's a whole group, he likes to just sit in the back and kind of hide and hopefully just fly under the radar. So I think that'd be cool if someone just talk to him. You know, it doesn't even have to be anything serious. Just sitting down and talk to him for a few minutes might help.
So I mean, if I know that for us, it's like it's almost the end of the year. I'm not sure we're able to kind of take them on, but if if it's okay, maybe I can just kind of like just kind of check on him and ask him. You know, I know sometimes we're done with our intervention a little earlier. Just kind of talk to him on the side.
Yeah, if you guys get done early or you want to come a little bit early or whatever. Feel free. If you need to take him out of the class for a little while, feel free. If you want to just, take him for a little walk around the building, like whatever it is, just feel free to kind of, take him aside, because it's not, he's intelligent enough where he keeps up with his work, and even if he was gone for a little while, I don't think it's really going to hurt what he's doing in his class. He's really good about just getting things. It's just a matter of him to be engaged.
Okay. And so he's doing well in your classroom? Like his grades are okay? He's turning in work and things like that?
Yeah, I don't think I've had any real problems with the work that he's completing and showing me. It's just him and his inability to kind of put himself out there, which is scary. I mean, these kids this age it's scary to just put yourself out there and be confident. So I think that's what it is. But yeah, feel free. Whatever you think would help. Let's try it.
I'll bring it up and I'll see if they can put him in, even if it's for next year.
Yeah.
And then I'll just kind of keep tabs on him and ask and things like that.
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, so pretty much what we're doing, you've seen us kind of work with the kids. We do explicit modeling, and I give the kids multiple examples. We do the I do, you do, we do model, where Sarah kind of does the whole group instruction,
right? And
then she asks them to do some of the examples, and then we all go over the instruction or the passages and the questions. I give them supported practice, and we try to use some kind of motivators to engage the students. And again, the reason why I put Albert and Jordy were because they were like one of my concerns, and I'm glad that you were able to give me some of the strategies you use. And so I mean, any questions or recommendations you have for myself or for our whole group with Darren and Linda as well?
I don't think so. What I've noticed is that recently you guys have been using the whiteboard a little bit more. That really helps with the kids, because when they have something visual to see, it kind of engages them. It gives them something to focus on. I've noticed that a lot of times it's not that they get it more, it's a focus thing. Because if I'm just talking, I see it in their face. If I just talk and there's nothing for them to look at, they're like, it takes a couple seconds and they're already thinking about something else. They've lost focus. So one of the things, and I might have told this to Sarah too, is just, it's good when they have something visual. When you guys use that, what was it, a question wheel or something? When you guys, that was good, because it gave them something to look at, focus, and it related to what we were trying to get them to do, whether it was ask questions or answer questions, or really dig into the text and figure things out. That was really good. Those kind of things are really, really cool, because it's just something for them to see. They do not like listening to people just talk. I mean, I don't either. It's always nice when you have something to look at. But that's one of the things, especially with these lower level kids, I've noticed I always have to give them something to look at, whether it's on the board, on the smart board, on the computer, whatever it is. I mean, sometimes I think I'm just really animated too, so that I'm always using my
Yeah,
hands and doing
yeah.
things, and they're always like, oh, what's your name?
Well,
So-
I mean, they definitely love you when they're in group with you. I mean, you're
Well.
great with them. So
Sometimes I miss that love. Sometimes I don't get the love so much, but yeah, it's definitely, you know, me being part of the reading intervention group here has really kind of taught me to teach in a different way. It's kind of taught me to slow down things and really focus on what their comprehension is. Because I've noticed a lot of them can read, and you know, even ones like who's the other guy in your
Richard?
Richard, yes, Richard. Richard could read usually really well. Like, he might stumble on some words here and there.
Yeah.
He reads well. It's his understanding that often, you know, kind of gets a little shuffled or lost. So I've noticed that I have to slow things down and focus on their comprehension, even if it's a sentence at a time, where I say, what does this sentence mean? And a lot of times they'll just, you know, a lot of times they'll get it, a lot of times they won't get it. But, you know, going slow and giving them visuals is really important for this level of student.
Okay.
See if we can work with that.
Well, I mean, we'll continue to use visuals, and I'll definitely relay that information to Sarah.
Cool.
And also our other dyad, Darren and Linda.
Cool.
And again, I want to say thank you, because I mean, we wouldn't be able to do anything without your support as well.
Yeah, whatever I can do to help you guys.
And then, I mean, we're very fortunate to be working with you, because you're very flexible and you're just very willing to work with us, to work with the kids. So.
And the kids love you guys. I mean, it's cool because they've already gotten used to you. And even before you guys, no, it was just Darren today. Even before Darren showed up, one of the students, I can't remember if it was Richard or Pedro, no, or it might have been Julio, asked. They raised their hand. They were like, "Are the?" I think he said, "Is Miss V coming today?" Or asked, and I said I didn't know because our schedule was kind of weird today.
Yeah.
I said, I don't know if they're going to be able to make it because our schedule, we're a little bit later than we normally are. And then Darren came in and, you know, was like, do we have time? I was like, absolutely. It was almost like they were waiting for you.
Oh, that's perfect timing.
So I was like, yes, yeah, do whatever you want with them. So yeah, it was cool. They're starting to realize the days that you guys are here. And
Okay.
it's almost like they look forward to it. So
Okay.
I'm like, cool, man.
Hey.
If we can get them engaged, whatever
Yeah.
it takes. Yes.
Sounds good.
I'm
And
more than willing.
And I'll tell Sarah that, because I'm sure we call each other Miss V. She's Verdugo and I'm Bandovino, so it's like.
Yeah, you're both Miss V.
We were both Miss V, so I'm like, hey, they asked for us today.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, thank you.
You're welcome. Do you want these back?
Yeah, I'll keep those, and
Okay.
I'll keep this.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Medina.
You're welcome.